You're 34 years old. The letter arrives in September 1944. Your wife stands in the doorway of your small farmhouse in rural Japan. She doesn't cry. She already cried when you left for China 6 years ago. She cried again when you came back missing 2 fingers. Now, she just folds the paper and sets it on the kitchen table. Your father says nothing. He fought the Russians in 1905. He knows what the letter means. You've already served. You came home. You have 2 children who barely remember you leaving the first time. None of that matters. Japan's universal conscription law says every man between 17 and 40 belongs to the emperor. You're a recalled reservist, a number on a list that someone in Tokyo decided to pull. They're building a fortress on an island you've never heard of, Iwo Jima, Sulphur Island. 8 square miles of volcanic rock, 660 miles south of the Japanese homeland. The Americans want it as a landing strip for damaged B-29 bombers. Your job is to make that capture as expensive as possible. You board a transport ship in late 1944. The deck is crowded with men just like you, reservists and conscripts heading south through submarine-infested waters. 1,500 men on other ships never make it. American submarines are hunting every convoy in the Pacific. The transport Nishumaru goes down with 28 tanks and 900 men from the 26th Tank Regiment. You make it. That's not necessarily good news. You step onto the black volcanic beach of Iwo Jima, expecting a military posting. What you get is a construction site. Your commanding general is Tadamichi Kuribayashi, a 53-year-old cavalryman who studied at Harvard University. He knows exactly what Japan is fighting. The United States is the last country in the world Japan should fight, he wrote to his wife back in Tokyo. He also wrote that he won't be coming home. His orders are simple. Forget everything the Imperial Army taught you. Forget beach defense. The Americans will pulverize anything you build on the sand. The battles at Saipan proved that. Tarawa proved that. Thousands of Japanese soldiers died in the first hour at both islands. Forget bonsai charges. Kuribayashi calls them an unnecessary waste of lives. You will not die gloriously charging into American machine guns. You will die slowly, underground, after killing as many of them as possible. So you dig. Every soldier on Iwo Jima is an engineer now. 3 rotating shifts work around the clock. 1 shift digs tunnels through the volcanic rock. 1 shift guards the perimeter. 1 shift trains with weapons. Then you rotate. The volcanic rock is soft enough to cut with pickaxes. The heat is not. Temperatures inside the tunnels beneath Mount Suribachi reach 120 degrees Fahrenheit. In the hottest sections near the sulfur vents, work shifts last 5 minutes before you rotate out. Your rubber shoes melt against the ground. Sulfur gas burns your throat and stings your eyes. You wear a cloth mask over your face. It doesn't help. By February 1945, you've carved 11 miles of tunnels beneath the island, 30 to 40 feet deep. Some chambers drop 75 feet below the surface. The main communications bunker stretches 150 feet long and 70 feet wide, buried under solid volcanic rock. The island's black volcanic ash makes excellent concrete. You don't know it yet, but in 6 weeks, American naval shells will hit those walls directly and do nothing. The tunnels work exactly as designed. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Imperial General Headquarters in Tokyo has already issued your posthumous promotion. They did that before the battle started. This island is not a fortress. It's your grave. They just haven't filled it in yet. Starting June 15th, 1944, American bombers appear over Iwo Jima every single day for 9 months. 70 consecutive days of concentrated aerial attack. 5,800 tons of bombs dropped on 8 square miles of volcanic rock. A captured Japanese soldier later tells American interrogators the bombing raids were relatively welcome because the bombs often missed the island and killed fish in the surrounding waters that you could eat. The bombing doesn't stop construction. During those 70 days, the number of defensive positions on Iwo Jima increases from 450 to 730. You now have 438 artillery pieces hidden in caves and concrete bunkers, 33 naval guns, 300 anti-aircraft weapons, 69 anti-tank guns. But you have only 60% of the ammunition you need. Food stockpiled for maybe 4 months, and almost no drinking water. The island has no natural freshwater sources. You collect rainwater in concrete cisterns. You distill seawater when the equipment works. One canteen per day if you're lucky. Half a canteen if you're not. You look at the tunnels stretching beneath the island. You look at the artillery pieces pointed at the beaches. You look at your half-empty canteen. You start to understand. February 16th, 1945. The American invasion fleet appears on the horizon. You stand at the observation slit of your concrete bunker and watch the ships approaching. You've never seen so many vessels in your life. You stop counting somewhere around 100 because there's no point. 5,000 ships. The largest naval invasion force the Pacific Ocean has ever seen. And it's heading straight for your 8 square miles of volcanic rock. 3 days of naval bombardment shake the island. Kuribayashi orders complete silence. Don't fire. Don't reveal positions. Let them think they're destroying something. February 19th, 1945. 8:59 in the morning. The first American landing craft hit the water. Radio operator Saruji Akikusa watches from his communications bunker near the beach. He describes the scene later. It reminded me of a crowd of baseball fans waiting for the stadium to open. 6,000 United States Marines in the first wave. They're struggling through black volcanic ash that swallows their boots to the ankle. They can barely walk. They can barely run. For 35 minutes, you hold your fire. Let them bunch up on the beach. Let them pile on top of each other. Let them think the naval bombardment worked. At 9:35 in the morning, bugles ring out across the island. A cheerful tune with lyrics the survivors will remember for the rest of their lives. Come out, kill them all. Everything opens at once. Artillery shells from the hills. Mortar rounds from hidden positions. Machine gun fire from concrete bunkers the Americans never spotted. Every inch of that black sand beach has been pre-registered for months. You've been waiting to pull this trigger since September. Your hands don't shake. You thought they would. They don't. 2,400 American casualties by sundown. That night, the Marines dig foxholes in the volcanic ash and wait for the banzai charge. Every other Pacific island, the Japanese have charged. It's doctrine. It's tradition. The charge doesn't come. Small infiltration teams probe American lines instead. 5-man groups with grenades and knives. Marine General Holland Smith surveys the beach that evening and says something that will make it into the history books. I don't know who he is, but the Japanese general running this show is one smart bastard. Day 2. The flamethrower tanks roll onto the beach. Sherman tanks, with fuel tanks instead of main guns. They spray burning napalm jelly into bunker ports at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Through his radio headset in the communications bunker, Akikusa hears the screams of men he was transmitting to moments before. He says the sounds blended together into a buzzing noise, like radio static. Mount Suribachi falls on February 23rd. 800 Japanese defenders. 7 stories of tunnels carved into the volcanic cone. 4 days of brutal fighting. When the American flag goes up on the summit, you still hold most of the island. But you've started noticing something. The men around you in the tunnels are changing. Private Yamamoto asks if his parents have arrived. They said they were coming to visit me today. We should all go home together. Corporal Tanaka stops eating his rice ration. He gives it away. 3 days later, he walks toward the American lines with his hands raised above his head. A sniper's bullet takes him before he gets 10 meters. At night, muffled gunshots echo through the tunnel network. Single shots. The sounds of men who couldn't wait any longer. The real killing happens in the northern part of the island. Hill 382, Turkey Knob, the natural rock formation called the amphitheater. The Marines call the whole complex the meat grinder. Your tactic is simple. Let them capture a position, withdraw through the connecting tunnels, call down mortar fire on coordinates you pre-registered months ago. At night, reoccupy the position through the tunnel network. Make them take the same ground twice. Make them take it 3 times. 850 Marines die taking that single complex. Ensign Omagari volunteers as a tank killer. 5-man teams crawl out after dark to ambush Sherman tanks with magnetic mines. You hide among decomposing bodies scattered across the battlefield. American bodies, Japanese bodies. It doesn't matter anymore. They're not people. They're cover. The smell fills your nose and stays there for days. After 24 hours lying in the filth among the corpses, no tanks come close enough to attack. You crawl back to the tunnel entrance. You don't talk about what you saw. Now you understand why men desert these missions. By mid-March, you're compressed into a pocket 700 yards long, 500 yards wide. The Marines call it the Gorge. You haven't eaten in 5 days. Your lips are cracked so badly, you can't chew the old bread someone found. You suck on papaya roots and moss scraped from the rocks. Your water ration is half a teacup per day. When that runs out, you drink your own urine. Someone finds a well in the no man's land between your position and the American lines. You sneak out at night to fill canteens. The Americans catch on. They ambush your water parties with machine gun fire. Then they dump white phosphorus grenades into the well. Then they throw the dead bodies in. You're still so thirsty, you consider drinking from it anyway. March 21st. Kuribayashi radios Imperial General Headquarters in Tokyo. We have not eaten or drunk for 5 days, but our fighting spirit remains high. March 22nd. The enemy suggested we surrender through loudspeaker. Our officers and men just laughed. In another tunnel, somewhere on the island, someone puts the question to a vote. 69 men vote in favor of surrender. 3 vote against. One of the 3 who voted no pulls out his service pistol and shoots himself in the head before anyone can stop him. You don't get a vote. Nobody asks what you want. March 23rd, 1945. Kuribayashi's final radio message goes to the Japanese garrison on Chichi-jima, 150 miles to the north. All officers and men of Chichi-jima, goodbye from Iwo. His body is never found. Of 21,060 Japanese soldiers stationed on Iwo Jima, approximately 18,000 died. 216 were captured during the battle. You were a number on a conscription list in September 1944, a number in a posthumous promotion order that was signed before you ever fired a shot, and somewhere beneath 8 square miles of volcanic rock, in a tunnel that hasn't been opened in 80 years, you're still a number. One of 12,000 that nobody has come to collect. The war ended. The island moved on. You didn't. You just got filed in a different column, one that nobody will ever close.